So, hi everybody, it's Darlene here, and welcome to Shop Talk Live. We'll just wait here until we get some participation. I know that we're going to have some guests, and our first guest on here is Alice Yim, all the way from Singapore. I'm always so impressed when I see Alice here. So yes, hi Alice. I just got here and I'm just getting sorted around, and we're going to talk about the heart of the matter. One of my favorite subjects is explaining the difference between the pump and the pipes. And last week we talked about the pump. So this week we're going to talk about the pipes. It's February, it's Heart Month, and we're going to talk about our incredible Cellular Essentials tonight. And welcome, Joan. There you are, Joan. Your husband has incredible testimonials for these cardiovascular products. You should just type in his testimonial there, and share that with the people, if you would, Joan. And so I know that your husband had a really serious what is termed a cardiac event, and it happened, I think, a couple of years ago, right, Joan? And yeah, there she is. Oh, yes. And so Joan maybe she'll just help and share her her testimonial. It's not a little testimonial. When you're dealing with the heart, there's no little thing, and there's no shortcut. And yes. So, okay, 2016, 3 years already. Wow. Okay. So I hope everybody is doing well. The news from what we call the Great White North, where I live, is that, man, oh man, it's still snowing out there. And we had a blizzard, like, on the weekend. Like, I can't remember seeing. I know that we've had them, but not in recent times. And literally, the whole area was shut down for days, and you couldn't go anywhere. And man, was it cold. Welcome, Doug. And so we got it going on again here tonight, and the GTA, our Toronto area, is just getting smashed. Yes, Doug, we're here. So you know what? I love turtlenecks, guys, but I'm just getting a little tired of them. I'm just about ready for spring, and we have a little saying up here in Canada: if March comes in like a lion, it's going to go out like a lamb. So if the last week and the coming weekend is any indication, spring is just around the corner, and I'll be able to get out of my turtlenecks. Don't love them so much at the end of the winter. So let's get ready. Welcome, Daisy Ramundo from Toronto. You guys are getting smashed down there with the snow. Wow. Okay. So last week we talked about the pump and the Cardio Essentials, and how the pump works. And the reason why I like to break these products apart for you is so that you can see that they are completely and totally separate entities, that they do completely and totally different functions. And so that's how I've separated it. The pump is your heart, and today we're going to talk about the pipes and the fact that they, whether or not they get clogged or not is not our dispute. We know that is happening, and in some research says that it's happening at younger and younger ages, and even happening to our children. And we always talked about, well, it was eating fat and it was eating red meat, and it's And there are aspects of eating meat and fat, and you shouldn't eat it. Fat isn't to be gorged on, but fat isn't what the problem is. The problem is actually the sugars and the carbohydrates, the grains, and that make the triglycerides, and it's the triglycerides that create the problem in our cardiovascular systems. And here we go again. We talk about family genetics, and there is some predisposition to whether or not you're born with a strong heart or congenital heart factors coming into that. But by and large, for the most part, the hereditary part of it is our diets and how we eat, especially when we're talking about the pipes, not maybe necessarily so much about the pump, but about the pipes. And we have in our body 60,000 miles of blood vessels. And they are responsible for carrying the nutrients, carrying the oxygen to every single organ and cell in our body. And so what happens is these miles and miles of pipes begin to narrow or generate blockages. And some will say to you that by the time that you're 40, you apparently have at least one artery at a 50% blockage. And that's just a statistic that is happening out there to everybody. And it's the reason why we see so much what we call cardiac events in the younger and younger people. It's as the blockage is appearing, so too is inflammation within those pipes, and it's the inflammation that's creating the danger around the blockages. It's the hardening of those pipes. We call it hardening of the arteries, but what happens as we age, we also lose the elasticity. So, last week, let me see if I can get my arm here. Last week we talked about the pump, the heart, when it pumps, it snaps real fast. Well, when the heart pumps and snaps back, that's when he pushes the blood through the heart and into the arteries and the vascular system. And so the vascular system, when the heart snaps shut, has to pump open to allow the flow for the blood to be carried throughout the body. And think about how powerful that one single pump is that heart gives you, to how much blood it's moving through, 60 miles of pipes, literally. And that's not my statistic, that's the real statistic. So keeping that whole pipe system clean and clear and free of clogs is very important, and it's a big job, and it doesn't happen overnight. And so this is a product that I would generally say to you that you're looking at 12 months using this for your first round of cleaning the pipes. You want to make sure that you give those pipes a really good first time through 1 year commitment. 60,000 miles. It's a lot of cleaning to do, and it's a lot of repair. So as you're using our Cellular Essentials, there's components in it that encourage the body to rebuild more elasticin, and so it's the elasticin that actually helps your veins and arteries to remain with the ability to pump back and forth, and the suppleness there, and really important. And whatever's happening inside of your body, and I've said this for years, and this was something that I discovered. It was something that was revealed to me, that as your cardiovascular system begins to create that hardening or the stiffening of the pipes, You can see that happening on the outside of your body. Well, how would you see that happening? Well, you know what? As your skin it has the same components in it as your cardiovascular system. As your skin starts to produce wrinkles, that's because it's losing its elasticity, so it's not so stretchy anymore. And that's a clear indication about what's going on inside of your pipes, the outside of your pipes, whether or not they're losing its elasticity. And so cleaning the inside and rebuilding that pipe system is really important. Now, Cellular Essentials is a double-blind placebo study product again. And it's interesting to me. Let me tell you, it's what we call it's an oral way of cleaning the pipes. You can. Oh, there you go, Darlene. You dropped it. You dropped your word. Okay, so it's a way of cleaning your pipes out orally. You can go, and people do often, especially people that are in problems, and have an infusion once a week. Costs you about $200 a week in Canada, and it is it's designed to dissolve and chelate. It's called chelation therapy. So it attaches itself to the nutrients that are there, attaches itself to the buildup on the inside of your cardiovascular system and helps it dissolve, and then it's carried away out of the body. And this is what we call oral chelation for this cardiovascular system. Now, chelation therapy was actually was developed to rid people's bodies of heavy metals, especially the miners and stuff. And what they found when they were cleaning, doing this chelation therapy for these individuals who had lead poisoning and heavy metal toxicity, that their cardiovascular system was getting stronger. And so that's where this all began. And it was something that was very specifically and only treated for heavy metals. And then as information became more known, then at one point we had just oral chelation and using high dosages of nutrients to soften up those plaques on the inside of the body. And now you can get, intravenous chelation. Sometimes it's outside of the medical community, outside of the medical insurance. You have to pay for it out of your pocket, at least in Canada you do. And it can be very expensive. But here's my deal. If you're paying a couple $100 a week, maybe a wee bit more, depending what area you're in, and for treatment, and you have to have 4 months, you don't go once a month. What are you doing for the other 7 days? Because nutrients are flushed through the system, and they're used, and they are, passed off. So the reason why I prefer oral chelation is, number one, it's less costly. Number two, it's more consistent because you're doing it every single day for an entire 12-month period. And you would be just surprised at the miraculous changes that happen. Now, in the note, if you open up the note on Cellular Essentials, you will see the diagram there near the top of the note. It's got a blue band on it, which is what was presented to the cardiologist, and it is the document on the double-blind placebo. And just to make it simple for you, is what they did, the double-blind placebo was on the carotid artery, because you can do Dopplers, and it's very easy for them to demonstrate that without being invasive to the rest of the body. And so what they found with that double-blind placebo study was that the people that on the blind that were getting the placebo, what happened was the carotid artery continued to be plugged, and that grew by 5% over the 12-month period. But the people that did the placebo or did the oral chelation had an 18% remission. So 18% of the plaquing was removed over the year. And so the difference would be about 23% for that year, because if you didn't remove that 8%, you would have, accrued another 5% of blockage. So it's quite a substantial and dramatic change. Now, that double-blind placebo was done just on what was on the box. Now, what's on that box is actually what people would say a maintenance dose. And you can do that. But, most of the cardio doctors that are involved with Unicity would tell you to double or triple that dose of the Cellular Essentials, and at least to start off and it can make a very dramatic difference for you with your results very quickly. I've had people that I got to tell you, my stepmother is gone now, but she was a woman that had a very fine frame. She was my stepmother, okay, and she had a very fine frame. And she was very thin on her bones and her wrists and her joints and stuff. And she developed pains in her feet. Now, she wasn't a diabetic or anything, but her circulation was deeply impaired to her legs. So she had developed a blockage somewhere in her legs that her feet were turning purple. And she had been to, she wasn't really a great friend of mine, to be honest, but, certainly they knew my pain. She knew what I did. And she had been to the family physician, and the family physician said that she was going to need to go on to a specialist because they were looking at amputating that foot. And so Irene, she went into the screaming and the crying, and next thing you know, I was getting a call. Was there anything that I could do to help her? And I said yes, there was. And so I put her on the Cellular Essentials, not the Cardio Essentials, the Cellular Essentials. And I gave her triple the dose of the Cellular Essentials, and I put her on fish oils at the time, essential fatty acids, which are our omega-3s now. And I put her on our calcium magnesium chelate for several reasons. I put her on triple the dose of the Cellular Essentials, and I swear, as God is my witness, that within 6 weeks, all pain had disappeared from that foot, and the circulation had come back, and the foot turned pink. And I kept her on that triple dose for 6 months, and then I put her on what I call the maintenance dose, or the box instructions. And she continued on that probably for another 3 or 4 years. In the end, she stopped taking it. She was elderly. She was very elderly, and she got very her dementia. She developed dementia, but she never, ever, ever lost that foot. And her doctor in town here, Dr. Whittle, was absolutely aghast at the dramatic change that had happened in that woman's foot and legs. And the interesting part is, ladies and gentlemen, is that when we're talking about cardiovascular health, we're talking about the silent killer. And it did make a difference for a number of people last week who watched the video. And I got a few calls, and some people that wanted a few more instructions on how to use the Cardio Essentials and how to go about it. And one person just calling me and confessing that she had been ignoring it, and now was the time that she was going to step forward and do something about it. So, Cellular Essentials, when Max and I first, because Max is my second chance relationship, when Max and I first got together, I'm an iridologist. I had a clinic. I ran a clinic here for a number of years and stuff. And when I looked at him, I told him that he was in trouble. He was in big trouble 20 years ago. And his first experience was, and he was always cold in the winter. He had always been cold in the winter, shiver, shiver, shiver. And so, and could never get warm. And I put him on the Cellular Essentials, and I kept him on that 3 years straight. And he's like I said, he now does a 6 month every, so he's going to go back on Cellular Essentials. He probably will start this June, and he'll stay there until next January. Then he'll have 9 months off. So we kind of rotate cardiovascular and liver health and everything that we do to keep him healthy. I had some comments over the past year or so, and our product line has changed. There's no question about it. And I had a conversation again this morning with a long-time member here. And I know that we've had retired products, and it came up in my email. I get it all the time. And I wanted to talk about a couple of things about people here, for you here. Most companies and most diet and most vitamins, minerals that you see on the shelves, even in health food stores, and yes, there is different grades and different qualities. There's good, there's better, there's best, and then there's some absolute garbage out there. And if you're going to buy vitamins and minerals and you're buying for the price, then you're in big trouble. Because what we are seeing as the RDA, regular daily allowances on the boxes, the science that is gone into constructing or formulating supplements, even a regular daily multivitamin, and I won't name any names in case somebody hears, but a daily multivitamin run-of-the-mill off the shelf. They're using research that has not changed since 1936. So that's almost 100 years old research. A lot has changed in health today. A lot has changed in our diets. Mostly the change has happened in our foods. Back when I was a kid and I had a carrot, you could be sure that carrot had some nutrition in it. Not so sure anymore, except for the ones that come out of my garden in the summer. And we have sped up our lifestyle to the point where we are living under stress, and we're running fast and furious, and we're eating all kinds of what would be considered foreign foods 50 years ago. And health is math. And I said this to somebody in my living room this afternoon. Health is nothing but math. And so when you look at the boxes of the products, and it says take 2 a day, that's a maintenance dose. That's not what you need if you're trying to heal your body of anything. Nothing, in the first place, nothing changes in your health or in the body permanently for a minimum of 3 months, no matter what you're dealing with, okay? And in the case that I'm talking about today, this afternoon, somebody had surgery just 3 months ago who has not used any kind of supplementation for recovery. And when your body is underneath that kind of stress, it's math. You need 3 to 7 times the nutrient value to heal your body. Like Doug Collins last week shared the testimonial all over the place about him breaking his arm and going to have surgery and all of that kind of stuff, and have pins put in and all of that stuff. And he didn't. And in fact, he was playing hockey in a matter of a few weeks and made an incredible recovery. Joan Wilkinson, who's on here today, she's talking about her husband, Ed, and she's typed up her testimonial, who had a heart attack in the middle of a marathon. And he could have died. And he, He would have died had a paramedic not been in the marathon. And he, Joan used these products for his recovery. And he runs marathons again now. And he's probably healthier than he's been in a lot of years, because they're being very, very cognizant of what's going on and how they're feeding the body. Some of these elite athletes are the worst offenders to what they're doing to their body. They're exercising and they're putting their body through incredible stress during some of these elite sports, and they're not feeding them correctly. And the body needs a lot of stuff. So part of my conversation has been with Unicity, with the head office, with my director of sales, Cody, was the stress that I get put under when they turn around and retire a product, and how people respond losing something that they've used for decades, sometimes, me too, decades. But when I understand what we're doing here with Unicity, with the research, with our, for instance, our new core health, and the metabolites, the secondary metabolites, and the superfoods, and those phytonutrients that used to be in our foods, that's not in our foods. You have to get very specific organic foods. And so when I look at our core health, it's really inexpensive when you think about all of the food that's in it. And I had a conversation with one of my gals earlier this week, and I said, I understand that the core products look like they're expensive. But she said, I felt that way too, Darlene, until I looked at the fact that I don't need my Phytopath anymore when I use it. And Phytopath was costly, and it covers all of these food groups and gives her antioxidants. And if you took strong enough doses of it 3 to 7 times, I'm telling you, you might be able to cure almost anything. I don't know, but this is what we know about superfoods. And so our bodies are struggling and needing these nutrients. And we have, and here's what the scary part is, life expectancy has changed over the last 30 years, 40 years. When I grew up, life expectancy, my grandmother said 3 years and 10, and everything else is a gift. Well, 3 years and 3 score and 10 was 70 years old, and everything else is a gift. But we got centenarians. We got hundreds and hundreds of centenarians living today. And you say, well, how's that happening, Darlene? Because of all the food. You're claiming the food hasn't got the nutrition. How are these people staying alive? Well, it isn't the food that's keeping them alive. They now know how to chemically keep you alive. They chemically keep you alive through drugs and drug therapies and things like that, so that the pharmaceuticals can have your money and you don't have any really joy of life or joy of benefits from that. And so the truth is, people, is that to stay out of the pharmaceuticals as long as you possibly can, and forever, if at all possible. And Max was just thanking me, because he's in his 70s, and he says, thank you for keeping me out of the pharmaceuticals and keeping me away from them. And because they're not inexpensive either, and that's how they get your money. Here's the other thing that we looked at, and I'm talking about cardiovascular. Cardiovascular is strokes, for instance, are a really big problem, and that's pipe work, all right? You get a clot or you get a blockage and you have a stroke. They call it a brain attack. And they're responsible for a lot of people going to nursing homes and retirement homes that they can't function anymore, and they can't take care of themselves. And I woke up in the middle of the night last night, and I wasn't able to go to sleep, and I got this, I have insomnia. That's simple as that. And so what goes through my head is just kind of crazy things during the night. But I was thinking about my age and Max's age, and I was thinking about all of you out there, and many of you 50s. And if you don't have, say you're 50, and you don't have 250,000 invested and growing for you right now, there's not going to be any kind of quality of retirement for you. Because today, in Owen Sound, I'm not talking about Toronto, in Owen Sound, to stay in a chosen retirement home is over $3,000 a month. And $3,000 a month is $36,000 a year. And if there's two of you, that's $72,000 a year. That's not including your medications. That's not including haircuts or new clothes or any of that stuff. And it's very expensive to live a long time. And if you spend it all on health, trying to recover your health, and don't save any money and don't have that retirement for you, because let me tell you, the government of Canada's the retirement plan does not go. What you think you're going to do on $1,100 a month, I don't know. And we have abject poverty building here. And I have to say it. We have ways to keep you healthy, to keep you out of the pharmaceuticals, to keep you working longer, to keep you enjoying a quality of life like is unbelievable, truly unbelievable. And we have a way for you to earn a way to stay healthy and be healthy, whether it's only using the products and earning enough money here, sharing the word. But we got a problem in North America. We got a problem globally going on. And yeah, heart disease is one of the fastest growing contributors to early death, to any kind of death, whether it's one of the leading contributors to people winding up in nursing homes, having dementias, all of these things. And we have a way to change that for people. We have a way to change that for you. I know it's a way that changed it for me. I've been here now 26 years. I'm going to tell you that Burma will tell you that too. Burma's in her 70s and still goes to work every day, sharing the message of health and wellness for people. And we're looking for people who are open to celebrate health and wellness, to celebrate people and life, and to lead people to just a different way of experiencing vitality, vibrance, and health. And I just want to say thank you to any one of you who come here. I want to say God bless to all of you and for your health. And I know that there's a way that you could share maybe a little more with other people the message of Unicity. We're going to be introducing some new health packs. We've been focused on Get Fit 21 for 2 years now. And Get Fit 21 is just a stepping stone so that we learn how to eat again and how to move again and how to keep moving again and learn to be more consistent in paying attention to what we're doing. But there's much more, and they're going to be bringing these packs out, and my suggestion is that they use the name Best You 365. It means that taking these packs would help you stay the healthiest you every day of the year. And so I want to thank you. So that's coming. Watch for that. That's going to be one of the new things that we are looking at, and it's going to be exciting. And Unicity is changing, and we're moving ahead, and we're all looking for people who are interested in being involved with a group, a community of people that care about each other and care about the new people as well as all of us that are here, and invite you to join our community. So, ladies and gentlemen, happy Heart Month. There's so much more that you can do. You can see, I can see Bio 7 sitting back there. I just realized my box of Bio 7's probably been sitting there. I just come and take out a few packs at a time. We're going to talk about Bio 7 next week. We're going to talk about microbiome next week, and how it really affects even our children, and that you can use Bio 7 with your children, and you truly ought to. And we're going to be talking about that next year. So there you go. Let's all go just be our best selves. I know that we've had winters way too long for all of us this year, and so tomorrow's the last day of February. Spring is on its way, and I hope that you guys all have a great week. For any of you Canadians, you need to put in your NFR tonight so it's shipped tomorrow, so that you get your products in a week. So that's just a little reminder. And guess what? I love you all, and thank you for coming. And let's talk about microbiome next week. Thank you. Night.